Welcome, everybody, here to the X-Bomb Sports Live Show. My name is Andrew Valentin, and I hope you're all having a fantastic Friday. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. We are here, right here and now, here in the Illinois Media School, here in the wonderful campus of O'Hare. Again, it is a beautiful, beautiful day. I hope everybody's has just had a wonderful weekend. I know I've had a one heck of a one. It has been long, very many work hours put in and so much more to do. But I am thrilled to be back here, ladies and gentlemen. It's great to be back doing the show. Again, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you guys being the awesome fans that you are. Obviously, if you guys are hitting us up right now, we're right now streaming live on the YouTube side. That's youtube.com/xbombsports. And, of course, we're on Twitch as well. That's twitch.tv/xbombsports, too. We can catch us every Friday. Mondays right now are going to have to kind of go on the back burner. So Fridays, short fuse Fridays, will become kind of the main gig for the time being. But on the side of that as well, social media-wise, if you guys want to continue to follow us and keep following us and keep giving us all the love, you can find us Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We're at XBomb Sports on all three of those, and at XBomb Sports on TikTok as well, where our man Frankie, who's no longer here with us, he had to, not because he's gone. Yeah, I know. Pause. He just had to step out because he was hungry. His words, not mine. But he's cutting the clips for us on there as well. And, of course, any questions, comments, things like that from you, ladies and gents, we will obviously be answering those from xbsportsofficial@gmail.com. We really appreciate you guys always giving us the comments, the questions, the feedbacks, things like that. It means a lot to us, and it helps us continue to kind of stay up to date on what you guys want us to talk about. And, of course, in the back, we got our guys, No Gimmicks Nick Johnson and Scotty Kiefer as well in the back. You guys doing good back there?
Oh, yeah, you know it.
Oh, absolutely. It's been a heck of a couple weeks. Obviously, we weren't on last week, and some stuff happened. We're going to kind of recoup on a little bit of it, some more recent stuff as well to kind of talk on. Obviously, MLB trade deadline happened. White Sox making some moves, not exactly where we thought they would be, but overall, I mean, the team's winning. Hey, you beat the Phillies, right? I mean, they're showing some progress. As for the Cubs, obviously they're trying to shore up a team that they feel is certainly playoff bound, looking like they could be on the way to winning the division and might be very competitive within the playoffs. Frankie expressed to me that obviously not getting a starting pitcher is a little bit of a concern, so all the best to them, I guess, and whatever endeavors they do suffice in. I am sitting on the outsider as a baseball fan, but I mean, real quick for you guys, I mean, trade deadline, if you want to just touch on that
quickly. Just popped up on my little feed right here.
Yes,
Micah Parsons posts on social media that he wants to be traded.
Ooh,
yeah.
Okay.
So speaking of trades,
yeah,
get on the phone.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that just right. Yeah, Adam Schefter, Micah Parsons posted on social media that he wants to be traded from the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh yeah, I'm seeing it now.
That is 7 minutes ago from Shefty. Yeah, that's a pretty juicy one to get into. Of course, I know there's details all around.
I mean, hey, let's. I mean, I know it's not up there, but let's discuss, because this has been and I had a question come from one of our Cowboys fans. Asking about the Parsons situation, also asking about the Bengals situation. I can't even get into that right now. With that whole mess is just, oy. But that all kind of leads into this, right? Because Micah Parsons is easily one of the top defensive players in the league, bar none. Not just edge rusher. We're talking defensive players, and is easily the cornerstone franchise player for the Dallas Cowboys. Why is it so difficult for the Cowboys to make this work for themselves? Like, he's trying to get paid on the same level as the top edge rushers of TJ Watt and Myles Garrett. That is the report. He's looking for something in that range, right? If TJ Watt's the top guy, Parsons is saying, well, I'm at least top 3.
He also name dropped Max Crosby, just getting his deal done too.
Yeah, and exactly. Crosby is another one. Another guy I would argue to say certainly is in the top 5 of edge rushers as well, right? Guys are getting paid at that position, and he's arguably one of the best. And he is not getting that opportunity. Why would that be? What's happening? Well, I mean, I'm seeing this right now. According to reports that are coming out, Scheffler, Rappaport, a lot of people apparently have been talking about this. The management side has been trying to have discussions with Micah Parsons and his management team, his agents, and apparently there has just been a complete breakdown in communication that has led Micah Parsons to having a lot of distrust in what the front office is doing, which has now led apparently to him requesting a trade officially now on social media. So if that is the case, be it Jerry Jones or whoever this might be at the helm, taking control of this situation, doing bad job, I mean, how else to say it, right? But in a terrible way. Doing bad job. This is one of the top players in the league, and now you've forced him into a position where he ultimately is like, okay, you guys don't want me, I'm out of here. Like, this is your hope to get to the playoffs. Not Dak, not CeeDee Lamb. Like, they contribute, sure. This is the guy that you're kind of depending on right now to stop the other offense, to stop the opposing offense, right? To get to the quarterback, to pummel, I mean, all that kind of stuff. This is what you're looking for. And it blows my mind why you would let a player like him escape your palms. Now, obviously, you've paid some other players on this team, right? A quarterback that is, shall we say, maybe not as deserved of his money, but Dallas felt forced into this position maybe, right? A wide receiver that, well, I would say is certainly top 5, right? Incredible talent, but that hurts the checkbook too. And then you have Trayvon Diggs, who's also getting paid as well, who I think is a more manageable contract still all the same, but nevertheless, he is a bit of a kind of like hurt. Why is this causing a problem? Why is this such an issue? Why can't Jerry Jones just be like what he always is, give the guy what he wants? It's a conundrum from my standpoint. But, guys, I mean, for you in the back, what are your thoughts on Micah Parsons now requesting a trade?
Well, per Rossini, the Cowboys have already said that they have no intention in trading Micah Parsons.
Of course.
But that kind of goes along with what you just said, just not doing what the player wants. He said he wants to be traded. Still going to keep him on the books and figure out what to do. But, I mean, at the end of the day, you're talking about a guy that's a 4-time Pro Bowler, 3-time All-Pro, Defensive Rookie of the Year, already 52.5 sacks, 9 forced fumbles at just 26 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about a guy
He's prime.
Yeah, entering the prime. And he's already had a great year. I mean, you're talking about when Khalil Mack got traded, he was 27. And his pedigree got traded for 2 first-round picks, a 3rd and a 6th. And, I mean, you're looking at that kind of value, but more. Honestly, with how he is, and obviously he's a year younger, and those stats are pretty comparable to when Khalil Mack got traded, you're looking at higher value, and there's a clear difference between him and another edge rusher on the market as well, Trey Hendrickson. You know, his value is going to be lower because it's a lot higher to pay for a Micah Parsons now.
Absolutely.
So,
and you'd rather pay Micah Parsons for the longevity that you would have him as your cornerstone franchise. I mean, I love Trey Hendrickson, don't get me wrong. I mean, as a Bengals supporter, he is one of the top edge rushers in the league. But he is 30 years old. A lot of teams now are noting that, you know, he's starting to slow up a little bit at times, but he can still get to the quarterback nevertheless, but you're not going to pay him the long-term contracts like you will Micah Parsons. This, however, though, as Scotty brought up, when Khalil Mack was traded, where was he traded? Oh, he was traded to Chicago. What team right now is kind of in the same situation that it was when it traded for Khalil Mack? Oh, it would probably be Chicago. When they got Mack, they had a quarterback in their second year. They had a young offensive mind that had just come into the head coaching job. And whilst I certainly am not saying that Caleb Williams equals Mitchell Trubisky, nor vice versa. No, one is certainly a much higher talent with a higher ceiling than the other for sure. But it feels like a setting where if you're Chicago and you're saying that this is the moment where you want to push, you make that big sacrifice to say, our future is kind of set in a good spot. We'll trust in Ryan Poles' ability to draft in later rounds, and we'll give what the Cowboys want for one of the best defensive players in the league. That guy, Micah Parsons, in my book, easily gives you like 5.5 wins, maybe 6.
Chicago also closer to Pennsylvania than Dallas would be. So
going back home.
Yeah.
Who's to say? I mean, I know he loves being a Dallas Cowboy. I know when he got drafted, he's like, I know what the star represents. I want to be here for as long as I can. But this is also something that we know comes up so frequently now. The star player who wants to get paid, the team who wants to try and make sure everything is spread equally and fair amongst all the players. But in some regard, in some degree, you have to take care of your big names. You have to take care of the ones that have been taking care of you. And he has certainly, I think beyond a shadow of a doubt, been a consummate leader for that team on the field, off the field, has been a leader for that team when it comes to helping them get the W. He has been the defense at times, period. I fathom to try and understand where Dallas is coming from to think that by trying to, I'm guessing, force him into a position where they're going to be like, well, we're going to set the terms. No, you're not. He is now asking for a trade, which basically means he is probably more than willing to sit out the season. I'm only saying that because just to make this statement with the Dallas Cowboys, you have to be pretty hard up to say, well, if I'm not going to get what I want, then I'm going to sit out till I'm either moved or I actually get the contract I'm looking for.
I don't know what the outcome is going to be, obviously, but if you're just simply looking at the just a visual and optic standpoint, Micah Parsons' post looks great compared to literally anything and everything that Jerry Jones has done in all of his videos, taking shots at Micah, and Micah even makes that point in those posts where, like, I'm sick of this being shots taken at me for being injured, stuff like that. It's just like, definitely take a look at the post that he put up on Twitter. Mm-hmm. He comes off extremely likable. If you're just coming in this completely blank slate, you have no idea what's going on. If you're just catching up right now, Micah Parsons is the clear hero, and Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys are the clear heroes and the villains in this scenario. So that's all I got on that one.
Absolutely.
I was gonna say, think about where. I mean, obviously we mentioned Chicago, but when a major star gets put out, I always think the other conference. I mean, where does a guy like him go? A team like a team like New England actually kind of pops out. They have a bunch of young talent that they could trade and some pieces.
Absolutely.
And with a young quarterback, they think they got Drake May. Going for an edge rusher could be really good. And then you got Duggar up on the top and Jackson, and then you have Parsons wrecking the quarterback. That could be something.
Yeah.
Another name that popped out was, I mean, this would be maybe a longer shot, but I don't think Cleveland could be out of the possibility just because maybe try to make Myles Garrett happy that they bring in some help for him, and then pairing him up with Graham. That's an insane defensive line there.
Yeah.
Jacksonville and the Colts are two names that kind of pop out at me as well. Remember when the Colts traded for DeForest Buckner? You could bring back something to help out. Who's the Trevon Walker? Maybe he gets a little bit of a jolt if Micah Parsons is on the opposite side of him. Mm-hmm. Those are just a couple teams. Obviously I only think about the other conference. There's easy names I can pull out of the NFC, like the Bears. I mean, the Vikings I think could maybe be in the running. Probably looking at Tampa Bay, they could be a team. There's a lot of teams you could throw out, but those are some of the first teams that kind of pop out with what they have being able to be traded could fit alongside of a potential Khalil Mack-like, or think of any other big-name player. You're going to be trading some valuable pieces, and those are some teams that they either have young talent that they can trade off or the picks to supplement it.
Yeah. No, definitely, 100%. No, and those are all teams that are certainly very viable. I know all the talk, David loves to bring it up, is the whole Washington Commanders situation. They're not going to trade within the division. I know he loves Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn and him are boys, right? Because Dan Quinn helped make Micah Parsons kind of what he is. I will say this. There is one team, I think, right now that really kind of shines to my mind. And actually, I'll say this. There's two teams that could shine to my mind that really could be, I think, the big spots for them. And both of them, by the way, exist in the AFC West for me. And that's the Chargers and the Broncos. I mean, who knows him better than the guy that had to face him for like good 3 years, right? And Jim Harbaugh. And who just lost an edge rusher? The Chargers, right? How do you replace Joey Bosa? Micah Parsons is almost I would dare to say an upgrade in so many ways. So I know, and that's the thing is, but for how good of how amazing a talent he is, and for what he could be in that defense, considering that team showed that growth that they needed to, and has certainly shown, at least through the draft on paper, it looks like they've kind of steadied the ship for what they want to be. They just need to get more on the weapons side offensively for Justin Herbert, and this team could be humming at 11-6, 12-5, maybe competing with the Chiefs. Who knows? I mean, the same thing for the Broncos. The Broncos get this thing rolling the right way with Bo Nix and that offense, right? They figure out their ground game situation and get their offensive line a little bit more together. You add a Micah Parsons to that defense, Sean Payton being the great coach that he is. You can't tell me he's not going to be able to figure out something to be able to make that thing tick. Just two more teams to throw out there for you. But for Micah Parsons, it is clear that for at least right now, it seems like he's had enough of being in Big D. He and the Cowboys are no more in terms of their relationship. He is basically stepping his foot down and look. He said, "I want a divorce." He's putting the papers down. Now it falls to Jerry Jones, I guess, if they want to sign him, and if they don't, they want to force this thing out. I mean, there's a good shot that they could go to the Players Association and start filing a grievance. That can happen. So.
And now that we spent 21 minutes talking about this, he will definitely be back in a month in training camp and just sign a new contract and be happy-go-lucky playing in Dallas.
Yeah, I knew.
Just like Trey Hendrickson, who's back in camp, and Myles Garrett, who went back to camp and then re-signed after he said he wanted nothing to do in Cleveland. Yeah, we'll be right back here saying, oh, he's staying in Dallas.
A new 10-year, $300 million deal, fully backloaded, because that's how the Cowboys love to do it. But obviously, let us know what you guys. That's right. Yeah, Terry McLaurin also is upset too. He can't be that good. I can't believe Debo would be like that good that they're feeling that confident. There's got to be one of those young receivers has got to be shining.
It's been 2 months and Terry McLaurin's like, you can have a Potbelly pick as your number one receiver. It won't be me.
That's crazy to me. I can't believe that. Unreal. Well, obviously, let us know what you think about the Micah Parsons thing. Again, I know that wasn't a question necessarily asked except for one. I apologize, I don't have your name in front of me, but obviously let us know what do you think about the Micah Parsons situation. I know we were going to get to the Bears. Let's save that one. Let's just kind of get to the rest of this stuff. It's fine. It's all good. Because I want to kind of talk about this because our boys in the back here kind of talked about this because a lot of you guys were throwing us this question for Blow the Whistle, Bad Karma, and for X-Bomb Sports, and that was the Hulk Hogan situation, right? Which, if you don't know, Hulk Hogan, a.k.a. Terry Bollea, passed away at the age of 71. From what we understand, it was a heart attack. And a lot of you were asking the question of, what do you think about Hogan's legacy? What are the defining matches that you think of with Hogan? What's your favorite Hulk Hogan moment? Now, I want this understood that my opinions that I say here are mine and mine alone, as are anybody's on here. So I want that understood by everybody because I know I'll probably say some stuff that is going to not go over for everybody, okay? But look, the main question I got from this was, well, what's Hulk Hogan's legacy as far as being for the WWE? I will say this. I think he is one of the most iconic wrestlers in the history of professional wrestling, and I would dare to say even sports entertainment, right? And I think that also comes with having a very complicated and complex history as well, in the same kind of way that I would view a John Jones, right? Because where you can certainly look at Terry Bollea and Hulk Hogan and say one is the artist and one is like the art, let's say, and try and separate the two, they are forever going to be one as a whole, right? And look, I'm not the biggest Hulk Hogan fan. I didn't grow up really watching him. I grew up watching more of what the Attitude Era, you know, from the 90s into the 2000s, and that was kind of my time of watching wrestling. And for Hulk Hogan, he is, I would argue to say, one of the gold standards for this is where you want to be as an international superstar in professional wrestling, right? He is somebody who stepped in the ring, who had the look, he had the image, he brought this, you know, superhero-like figure to professional wrestling, right? He was like the living, breathing Captain America for some people because he was tall, he had the muscles, he represented everything that was like good about the United States, right? He was, you know, he fought the Iron Sheik and he you know, he beat Andre the Giant. He had, you know, matches against guys like Macho Man Randy Savage, his brother for the Mega Powers, and he fought the Ultimate Warrior, and then had an iconic moment with The Rock. And he's had a lot of these great moments in his career. And yet at the same time, you know, that for me is the character Hulk Hogan, right? Whereas Terry Bollea, the person, has a very, very damned history, unfortunately, because whether he knew it or not, was being recorded, said some very derogatory terms, and rightfully so got shamed for it. And it kind of derailed his career in a lot of ways. I mean, you can't mention one of the good, I think, without the bad as well, right? He is, as a whole, a guy who, for the industry of professional wrestling, I think set it on fire, took it to new heights, helped get the WWE to where we see it now. But I also think he is somebody who must also be examined as for what he did as a person. And Scotty, you said it. A lot of people have said it. We've all made mistakes, but we must be held accountable for said mistakes. And perhaps you guys can tell me if I'm wrong, but I don't remember if he was ever apologetic about what he had said in the video. Again, I know he was recorded without knowledge of that happening, but I don't remember him. The only thing I ever remember him really being like upset about and saying he was sorry about was like, I'm sorry that I didn't know the people around me, and you need to be more careful about the people that are recording you.
That kind of was the message that he when he did go back, he kind of apologized to WWE, apologized to the men and women in the back in the locker room, but that was more or less like his apology, like the messages in his apology wasn't like, I'm sorry for what I said, I won't say that again. It was more or less like, hey, you know, be careful what's going out online. Be careful of who you're around type deal. So it was a mixture of like, again, it's those reactions. Like, is he apologizing to save face? Does he really actually, you know, mean this apology, or is he just trying to, like, you know, backtrack? Where, again, you all certain different which ways on that, but yeah, it was again. I said it on BK where all of his downfalls are kind of self-inflicted.
Yes.
Where he didn't hurt anybody in the long run. You know, he didn't run anybody over with their car. And he hasn't murdered anybody as far as we know. But, you know, the worst he's done is what he had sex with Bubba the Love Sponge's wife.
Yes. And
then eventually turned into that tape. So
right.
Again, it's tough. You know, it would be very ignorant to sit there and be like, oh, you know, that one thing is what I'm going to base it off of, and forever and ever I'm going to take away every one of his highlights after that. Okay, fine. That's the cancel culture that we currently live in. But
yeah,
to deny that, even I took it a step further. I even mentioned that he's just an American icon at this point. It's just not even not even wrestling or professional wrestling or sports. It's just
he's a pop culture icon.
If you were to redesign that Mount Rushmore, there probably would be a spot for Hulk Hogan on there.
I totally agree with that. Again, is he the greatest wrestler? I would say this. Is he the greatest wrestler of all time? It's almost universally said, like, no, like he's been known, like he wouldn't job for certain people. I was talking with Frankie. I still remember when he wrestled Shawn Michaels, and he made Shawn Michaels so upset because he would dare not lose to Shawn Michaels that Shawn said, okay, I'm going to show you. And I'll never forget, threw one punch at Shawn, and he did like 3 giant backflips. And you can, even at that young age, you can see on Hogan's face, he's like, oh, he's mad. Like, he is confused, and yet you son of a, you're going to oversell everything. Okay. Well, and in this business, that's sometimes what happens, right? That's sometimes what happens. I mean, him and the Ultimate Warrior have this great match. 2 guys that are notoriously terrible wrestlers that wouldn't help anybody, and almost to a degree had the same gimmick, right? One was he would Hulk out, and you couldn't beat him down. The other one was, I summon the spirit of the warrior. And you couldn't even do your finisher on him because he was so powerful. It's so stupid, but I loved him, never the same. But it is, no matter how you want to, you remember Hulk Hogan the way you want to, right? That's, I think, the most important thing to take from this. And what he did, I don't think should take away from what he has done for the business for sure. I just hope that people will not let that kind of what he did outside of the ring and what was said there, don't let that dissipate, because what makes us a whole is our mistakes and our accomplishments, right? And he made a major mistake, and unfortunately he's paid the price for it, to the point where, unfortunately for his last moment, we're remembering him as being booed in WWE, and that's kind of it's a very sad moment that's kind of how he's remembered for his last appearance in the universe. But for a man who did so much for the company, he sacrificed a lot. I can't take that away from him. I just think it's important that, you know, when we think of Hulk Hogan, there is so much you have to encompass with him, right? And there's so much that we have to remember. But at the end of the day, I have to still say that he is somebody who you have to go, he did great things. He is one of the most iconic names in sports entertainment history, right? He defined an era almost. I mean, to this day, me and my friends, my friends aren't even big wrestling fans, we still say brother in our chats when we're talking to each other through texts and stuff. And yet at the same time, he made some very terrible, racist comments at the same time. Now, does that make him a racist? I leave that up for you all to decide on your own. You can certainly twist it that way if that's the way you want it to, but he made a very terrible mistake. His name will have to pay the price for that, but I think for what he brought to the WWE, for what he brought to a lot of people who grew up watching him, who can still go back and enjoy his matches and still watch these iconic moments with him. I still remember when he wrestled The Rock and how great that moment was, where it's just the perfect cinematic moment where Rock's the good guy, Hogan's the bad guy, but everybody is cheering Hogan on. And I'm sitting there as a kid cheering Hogan on, and I was a fan of The Rock and not the Hogan, but you get caught up in the emotional moment. I mean, that moment, grown men were crying when he was in the ring by himself and he stood up and it was like basking in this glory of they love you. And I think it just comes down to a matter of how you wish to remember the man, right? And that's plain and simple, because at the end of the day, he was human. He was a man. He like all of us, we are all flawed. We all make major mistakes, minor mistakes. We pay our consequences for them. And I think as long as we learn from them, I think that's what's important. And unfortunately, we will never, I can't make that judgment for him because unfortunately he's passed on. But all the best and respect and the love to him and his family, to all the wrestlers out there, all the supporters and the fans and everything. Obviously, this is a major loss for the company. It is, and it's sad too when at 71, right? I mean, it's not young, but it still feels like it's too soon. It still feels like there was so much. He seemed to be in such good shape when you looked at him. But Nick, I think you pointed it out. Like, yeah, when he got out there for his last moment, you just saw a very frail-looking individual. It was very hard for him to walk, and you only wonder, like, was that kind of like the sign of like something maybe to come? I shudder to think so, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it took him forever to get till just the end of the Titantron to go out there for his last appearance, and it's just, it just wasn't in. I mean, toward the end of his life, wasn't in the best shape, but he goes to the RNC and rips off his shirt, and he's still got all the abs and stuff and all of his muscles. Right. I mean, he seems like he's in good shape there, but then you see him like 6 months later, and he's just immovable. Like he's immobile. No, yeah, you put it perfectly. Just separating the art from the artist, and his art that he put out there changed a lot of people's lives and was a hero for a lot of households, and he should be remembered for that more than anything. The other half doesn't go unsaid, but that's not Hulk Hogan, that's Terry. Right. There's a difference between the two.
Yeah, well, and that just and again, it still makes the man one in a whole at the end of the day. So those parts of his history will forever be attached to his names as Hulk Hogan and Terry Bollea. But I mean, the whole incident that came about from that with the Gawker thing is the reason why it makes it almost a little bit easier in my mind to kind of be able to separate the two, because almost on a legal level, they said Gawker sued Hulk Hogan. He's Terry Bollea. Maybe you want to go with semantics, loophole, whatever, but I think you can do that. I think you can find a way to do so, but I think at the end of the day, no matter how much you do want to try to separate them, his story does return as a whole where you go, his career as a wrestler, fantastic. For him as the person, obviously not a great guy. From my eyes, he didn't really seem like a great guy. But then again, if you've met him and you got a chance to shake his hand, take a picture with him, all that stuff, I'm sure you might say something different. And I understand that, and I respect that. I promise you. Everybody here has their own take on what they will view Hogan as. And at the end of the day, I think all we can just say is, may he rest in peace, and may his life and his legacy be remembered how you wish to remember it. Scotty.
Nick, what would you give on a star rating the Hell in the Cell match, or the Cell in the Hell match between the Ultimate Warrior, Chris Benoit, and Hulk Hogan going on right now?
That's so wrong. That's so wrong.
Jesus.
Yeah, that ought to be good. But I was
the thing on Twitter this week. They were like, "Oh, he's in the Cell in the Hell match."
Yeah. Well, he ain't putting anyone else over, brother. So
yeah.
He couldn't even put Ozzy over.
Nope. It's gonna be Hogan walking out of that one.
I want to say too, also, because I know our boy No Gimmicks Nick Johnson pointed it out on his doing his radio thing on the weekend. But I wanted to just say too, shout out to Ozzy Osbourne, man, for being a rock and roll god. Just the Prince of Darkness, no, the absolute rock and roll legend, God. Just, it broke my heart because I'm a huge fan of his, and I always have been. From his days of being a front man to when he went out there and just was Ozzy Osbourne, biting the heads off of bats, folks. Just, I mean, who did it? And still such a normal and loving and caring guy at his core. With a show, by the way, that hit ratings gold, keep in mind, too. The man could absolutely do it all. So may he also rest in peace as well. And thank you again, everybody, for that question as well. And last question we're going to get to here real quick on this. Obviously, if you don't know, the question that I got, this came from our guy, Alex. Alex is from the East Coast. He's in Norfolk, Virginia. And he asked us the question on, obviously, if we had heard about the Gilbert Arenas situation that went down where he has been arrested and been charged with running illegal poker games. high-stakes poker games in his mansion in Encino, California. And he was one, and he says, I'm a huge Gilbert Arenas fan. I have been for many years. Alex is an OG fan of ours from way back in the day. He just simply wanted to know, like, what is our thoughts on the Gilbert Arenas case? How do we, what do we make of all of this? And for those that don't know, Gilbert Arenas was arrested. He was charged with 1 count of conspiracy to operate an illegal gambling business, 1 count of operating an illegal gambling business, and 1 count of making false statements to federal investigators. And he saw a judge. He apparently has pled not guilty. His trial, from what I understand, according to ESPN, has been set for September 23rd. So there is a lot of very minimal information right now still kind of coming out of this. But essentially, it sounds as though they were running almost a casino out of his mansion in a lot of ways, with apparently a lot of high-named players who are either big-time rollers that are bettors and also big-time athletes that were rolling through in Gilbert Arenas's kind of quote-unquote homemade casino, right? That kind of thing. And apparently he was like cutting off percentages of profits or something like that. There's been a list of different parts and pieces that are being kind of connected to this as well. Amongst the other defendants, they also it is saying here that the indictment alleges that Gershman, who's one of the guys who's been named, his name is I'm going to butcher his name, Yevgeny Giora, Jesus, Gershman. He is considered a high-level member, potentially, of Israeli organized crime group that apparently was a part of this, that has also been indicted with this as well for helping to run an illegal business, which is being suspected to help operate from September of 2021 to July of 2022. And this was ran through an illegal pot limit Omaha poker games, amongst others, and collected a cut from each pot contested, or collected. So it is basically like, you know, they're a casino operating high stakes poker games, and they're taking a bit of the money, so they're operating almost on the same level as a casino. And look, from initial take, I mean, what to think of this? It is, to me, it's insane to think that Gilbert Arenas would be caught up in something like this. It's insane to think that anybody would go to this length and extent. I mean, I thought this stuff went out with like the 1920s and Prohibition and Al Capone and all that stuff, the secret venues where you were going to go, yeah, let's go shoot craps, see, and all that kind of stuff. I thought that was all done. But apparently not. Apparently this is still happening. I want to broaden this, though, because somebody asked us the question on, does this have any sort of impact on sports gambling as a whole? Like, what does this do for sports gambling? And look, there's no doubt that the two, sports and sports betting, sports gambling, have had a great correlation over the years, right? Where one works with the other, one has benefited the other in terms of bringing viewers, and the other has made a mountain of money from those viewers that are obviously putting together parlays and doing live game betting and all that kind of stuff, right? They are putting together all this stuff out of the woodwork to make it happen. And I just think that we're getting to a point now where a major discussion is going to have to maybe happen about the intricacies of sports and sports betting kind of colliding into this world, right? Because what do we have, like 2 or 3 different cases now going on, each within the MLB and the NBA, it feels like? Like, it feels like almost every league now has some sort of a case going on where it's like, well, this player might have shaved points, or this player might have tipped off pitches, and they're now removed from play because they might be being indicted on an investigation into a betting scandal. And it's like, is everybody just trying to hustle everybody and working together to just make more money on betting sites? Is that what's really going on here? It feels like it at this point. And look, I'm not a big bettor anymore. I used to be, but I've kind of learned how to have a better level of self-control for myself. I mean, I used to lose a lot of money. I won't lie, and quite frankly, I haven't bet in a long time, and it may stay that way forever, because this can get addictive. This can become a problem if you're not too careful, and I think for some people, they can go into it, they can handle it very easily, no problem, nothing whatsoever. But I think there's a lot of people out there who, because this opens up by the time you're 21 now, and it's so reliantly open out there in the world and everything, I think you can get to the point where you have a lot of people who enter in at that age, and then by the time they're hitting their 30s and 40s, could find themselves just completely out of money and in disproportionate positions. I'm not saying that's the case, because some people obviously are winning, and they're winning big. But the casino's job is to always keep you staying at the tables and putting the money back in, right? Because they don't want you walking away. They want you to hit big and then say, well, if I hit big this time, I'm going to hit big again. Right? You let it ride. You let it keep going. So again, I know the bulk of this story is really built within the fabric of a player connected possibly with a man of organized crime who may have been running almost an illegal casino within his mansion, right? Running these poker games at high stake rates and collecting like a part of the cut from said pots. But I think this could also speak to the level of kind of where gambling and sports has kind of started to connect, where players are now getting invested and involved in these type of worlds now. And it could create, and obviously that creates major conflict of interest, right? The Kevin Porter Jr. thing is a major issue that came about in that sort of situation, right? Or not Kevin Porter Jr. No, it was Kevin Porter Jr., correct? Yes, Kevin Porter Jr. I mean, and he's not the only one. There's all these other names that have now started to flip up through baseball and through basketball. And there's even been a couple through hockey. And whether they've been proven or not, it's just the fact that it's getting entered into the lexicon now as almost a normalized thing that, well, you're probably going to have a couple of players who possibly get investigated because they do something that looks a little bit suspicious. Something just feels so off and so wrong on that.
I would say that the Gilbert Arenas thing and the baseball and hockey, those are a little different. Gilbert Arenas is doing this on his own time. He's a retired player.
Yes.
Michael Jordan gambled when he was off, not playing. He gambled every single weekend playing poker and golf. It's a little different. That's more of a criminal thing. And obviously not saying that what they're doing on the ball field or on the rink or on the court is wrong, is right. But at the same time, it's a little bit different. I will say for the current baseball situation, it's kind of crazy that it's happening in Cleveland because they announced their starting lineup sponsored by Bet365, and
Yes,
they play on MLB TV, but they play against teams on the FanDuel Sports Network.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it is getting a little bit out there.
Yes.
But it's kind of just a part of the game now that it's hard to take it out again. And it's always been a thing. It's just been a little bit quiet on the back end. But then when you have players, it hurts the integrity of the game and stuff like that. So I would say the Gilbert Arenas thing is a little bit separate, but there's starting to be a problem in actual sporting, you know, going with certain players betting either for their team. Like, I don't think it's that big of a deal if they're betting for their team, but when they're betting against their team, that's crazy.
Yeah.
The thing with the Guardians, too, is kind of funny because it's so clear. Like, they didn't try to hide it at all either.
Right.
They're spiking balls into the ground like they're Rob Gronkowski after a touchdown.
Yeah.
To make their bet hit. Like, hide it a little better, guys.
Right, yeah. I mean, if you listen, if you're going to do that, you make it at least look a little. I don't know if anybody's seen it, but it's on Netflix, Dirty Play or something like that. There was a scandal at Arizona State with one of their top players at the time in the 90s who really got into some gambling debts and stuff and really found himself, because he was such an incredibly talented player and was deemed like a first-round pick in the NBA, could almost dictate the way the game would go for Arizona State and could hit the mark on exactly how the the bettor would want the odds to land. Like he could have landed directly on that mark of, I need 6. Can you get me on the 6? Can you keep it under 4? Can you get over 8? You know, it was that kind of stuff. And I'm not saying, by the way, either what Gilbert Arenas has done here is connected in any way with players that are going on in the league. What I'm trying to get at, though, with this is to go into the bigger topic of conversation, which is that, like you said, though, gambling and sports are so intertwined with each other now, it's so hard to be able to remove them from one another. But there has to be a better system, I feel like, put in place where, or rules or something of the sort that can allow sports and sports betting to operate in separate ways and not be so immersed with each other to the point where it could affect how players are playing on the field, i.e. like what we see with Cleveland or what we've seen with guys like Kevin Porter Jr., where you're maybe not taking the right shot or you're making that weird extra pass for some reason. It's just stuff that, be it blatant or like you're trying to be as secretive as a mouse about it, it's stuff that eventually it will get caught, it will get noticed, and it will get called out. If not by the refs, people on the internet and their sleuthing ability will look at all the video and stuff, and they'll start posting it, right? I mean, I think it was the Kevin Porter Jr. stuff. There was a lot of people saying, like, he's making weird decisions. And they were posting pictures and posting some, like, clips and GIFs and videos of, like, him doing stuff that just wasn't matching up, that ultimately led to the investigation and then led to all the knowledge that we now know of it. And again, what's happening here with Gilbert Arenas, this is organized, sounds like organized crime. He's alleging it's not happening by saying not guilty. Nothing has been said about this man, Gershman, and what he has claimed yet or anything like that. I'm kind of intrigued on this, though, because I wonder how this then affects how, you know, we look at athletes, be it current or even former athletes, and how they then become, you know, entrenched in these in the world of betting, essentially. And I know, again, this isn't sports betting. This is, we sat down, we played poker, we played it for hundreds of thousands of dollars, and then we recouped on a piece of the profits. That's a no-no. You can't do that, okay? My brother works in a casino, okay? I can tell you this right now, the ins and outs and the rules of what operates as a casino, I mean, they are so razor thin, and you have to be very careful with how you do things. Even if you're just doing it in your own home, there are people that have been busted for that, for just kind of like flipping a couple of, you know, hundreds of bills here and there that eventually add up to thousands of dollars that can lead to that kind of stuff. And I think people just need to be very careful and cautious when it comes to this world of gambling when you get into it, right? Because I don't know to what extent Gilbert Arenas was, but certainly he has been caught up in this world, whether he chose it or whatever the case is. He decided to get involved with a world now that apparently could be his ultimate downfall for his career and his life as we know it, right? Everything could be gone in a blink of an eye because of this whole situation. For many of us out there who are just normal human beings, we have to be careful with that as well. You have to be very vigilant about what you are doing and how you're doing things and how you go about, you know, listen, I went to Vegas in February to work an event, and I went there with a bunch of people who work like normal jobs like I do, doing stuff, cameras, video, photography, things like that. There was a guy who came with us. He had 15 grand with him to spend at the casino. We went through in less than 2 hours. He came out of it. He had like only $300 left. In less than 2 hours, mind you. Okay? That I would deem that as somebody that would, I only met the guy for that week, but I would go, dude, you may have a problem. You took $15,000. You came out of it with $300. And we still had another day to go on the week or the weekend. Like that's to me, those type of things are the signs of you may want to consider at least talking to somebody. I mean, again, my brother works at the casino. He can tell you there are people that have done that. They go immediately to the casino and they go, I want to get myself banned. Like, they do it on purpose so that this way they can no longer go to that casino. They will be arrested if they go to that casino. They will be removed from the property and arrested so that they can't ruin their finances anymore, because they have ruined their finances. People have walked in there with hundreds of thousands of dollars and gone. I'm not joking. He's told me that. Hundreds of thousands of dollars gone. Because you go up, you feel good, you keep playing, and now all of a sudden you're down. And you go, I can't do this.
Andrew's just trying to out me, guys. He's trying to.
I'm not. Listen.
He's trying to do an intervention over the screen, but I'm sitting back here playing on Prize Picks.
I joke with Scotty about this a lot because he is 21. He can gamble. I'm not saying it for your sake, Scotty. I mean,
he's lying, guys. He's definitely saying
maybe
it.
in some degree I am. Maybe in some degree I am. I don't think you're an addict, though. I don't. I have seen people. I mean, I know you bet on some pretty obscure stuff sometimes. To me, that's not an addict. An addict for me in terms of gambling is somebody who is just putting relentlessly bad money after bad money after bad money that they know they can't spend, that they know they can't recoup on from work, and keep going and keep going and keep going. Guys have emptied out their almost whole bank accounts because they're banking on that 12-team parlay to hit. And when that one team doesn't come through, they find themselves suddenly in the tank. And I think that to me, that's the problem. That's the problem. And I don't think you're that, Scotty. I promise you.
He's
I
lying.
don't think you're
He's
that.
lying. He's lying.
I'm just looking out for you, little brother. That's all it is. I love you. You know that. But yeah, obviously, guys, I want to get more on this situation as it comes out, right? There's so many more details that we're going to find out. Apparently there's a lot of people involved in this, like not just these two. These are the two big names.
I wouldn't doubt it.
I
wouldn't doubt it. I mean, it's a gambling ring in someone's house. Of course,
that's
more
the
people
thing.
involved.
And who Gilbert Arenas is, like, there are people, speculation, rumors, but they're saying like, oh, there's some big names attached to this.
Yeah,
And I don't think LeBron is attached to this. No, some moron I saw that.
How does this affect LeBron's legacy? Can you tell me that, Andrew? How does this affect LeBron's legacy?
Well, if I were ESPN, no, I'm just.
I actually do have a question. I know you didn't really want to talk about training camp real quick.
No,
but
please.
This is
we
more,
got a little bit of time.
This is less about a team.
Yeah.
How much do you actually care about training camp? To what extent?
If I want to quantify it in, let's say, like a 1 out of 10 situation, I'm going to probably say it's somewhere between, for me personally, it's somewhere between 3.5 and 4.
And what are you more so paying attention to?
I'm paying attention to not so much the first round draft picks necessarily, because those are guys who, if they're not going to start, at some point they're going to get significant playing time. I, like I'm sure many others, watch like Hard Knocks and all that stuff because I want to see those guys who are on the outskirts, right? The 4th to 7th round undrafted free agents who are crawling with their fingernails to try and get a chance. And when they get out there, what can they do to perform? That's more so what I'm looking for. And in the case of the Bears, because I know we didn't get a chance to talk about them, but just kind of briefly, I'm looking for training camp from especially the Bears. What's Caleb look like in the new offense? How does Roma Dunze fit in? What's DJ Moore's place in this? Is Luther Burden feeling confident? Where's Colston Loveland in this? How's Cole Kmet going to fit? What's the offensive line looking like? How's the defense managing against the first team and second team offense, right? So much of this is, for me, is just mainly focused on growth at positions that I know on teams might be short. But for the Bears, it's about new coach with a young quarterback and a whole lot of new pieces. And I want to see how far along they're coming, because we've heard training camp right now, it's been kind of rough for everybody, right? He kicked off the first team in the first day because they couldn't get assignments lined up right.
So this is my thing with that, right?
Yeah.
I would say my care, and I used to go to Bears training camp every single year. My care of training camp is down to like a 1 or a 2.
And I understand
the only thing I pay attention to, and it's not because I have to cut the audio, so the only thing I actually care about is what they're saying in the press conferences.
Yeah.
Because those are going to be what's telling me. I hate these people that are posting videos of Justin Fields throwing an interception for the Jets, and them going, it's going to be another bad season for the Jets, or Will Levis, I know he's hurt, but like just throwing a name out there. Will Levis throws a massive 60-yard touchdown in training camp, and they're like, "Did they fix Will Levis?" It's like, no, I hate stuff like that. It's training camp. They're trying stuff. The guy is sitting there in shorts and not wearing pads on.
Right. I was going to say, if you were going to go with the name, I thought you were going to say Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah.
Because, like, this whole week has been, like, hype up Shedeur Sanders week.
Well, no, like, the first one I saw was Caleb Williams' first throw in a live scrimmage of training camp was an interception. Okay,
right.
Who cares?
It was the same
Who cares?
It was the same, though, for Jackson Dart, who is a rookie. And guess what? It was the same for guess who? Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
He was not the only one.
Who cares?
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it.
We're talking about practice.
And it's like, the only thing I've seen that's interesting coming out of the Bears one is Cole Kmet's running with the second team. But honestly, I think that's fair because I think Cole Kmet should be used goal line and red zone.
Yeah.
And Loveland should be used everywhere else. I think Loveland will be like a yards guy and never get touchdowns. I have a feeling. The way they're building this team.
Oh, yeah.
But, like, other than that, I don't care. Like, I honestly just don't care about seeing highlights. Like, oh, the Bears run this trick play terribly. Yeah, it's a trick play in training camp.
I mean, listen.
Who cares?
Yeah, no. For me, who is somebody who, like, this is what I'm doing on a regular basis, like sitting down. For me, that's why it's a little bit more important. For the average sports fan or even the football fan out there like yourself or anybody else, I can easily see where you go like 1 out of 10, 1. I don't care. Unless you go to the camp yourself, that's probably when you're so much more interested. Otherwise, like you said, you're paying attention more to what the coaches are saying. You're seeing kind of the little maybe things here and there that you're hearing about through the social media, or you're seeing it through the media posts in general from like news outlets and things like that. Otherwise, I don't think training camp is really that big of a deal for it, because when are we really going to start paying attention? Preseason. The first game
and not
just
even
happened.
preseason, like literally, like the, like honestly, it just depends on who they're going against.
Right, yeah.
Because you can have Caleb
who's
Williams
playing?
go up against the Buffalo Bills last year, throws 2 touchdowns, but Matt Milano, Tre'Davious White, Kareem Elam weren't even on the field.
Exactly.
Von Miller wasn't even on the field for that. So how do you know how actually good he is? It's that type of thing. Yes, he could run the play right, yeah, but he's running against a bunch of second-string guys. You know, there's that kind of thing with it. And I agree with, like, I talk about it. Like, obviously I have to look into it because I talk about it. But at the same time, all I really just care about are just seeing what the guys are saying, how Kobe Turner on the Rams goes, I have to step up as a leader. Like, that's the stuff I look at more.
Yeah.
Not him on the field getting a sack in 2 seconds in training camp when the quarterback's wearing a red jersey and he can't even touch him, and he's not even trying to move out of the pocket. Like, I don't care about seeing stuff like that.
No, it that kind of stuff looks nice, but
How many times have we seen someone go, this is a great training camp for so-and-so quarterback, so-and-so running back.
Yeah.
And then they get into real games, they're barely getting touches, and they barely get time. And then vice versa. Oh, he's doing terrible in training camp. He's dropping so many balls.
Right.
And then he catches the most touchdowns on the team.
I'll give you one more. Even though it's not necessarily training camp, how many years did we go with my favorite man, Ben Simmons, putting out a video of, I'm working on my 3-shot, I'm working on my 3-shot, I'm working on my 3-shot, I'm working on my 3, jumper. How many times did I have to sit and look at the same at one point I almost thought, is he just in the same gym all the time and just changing his shirt and just uploading it every year and it's just the same session? It got that ridiculous. It does not matter. None of that matters. Until the season starts, you won't know what a lot of these guys are. Some of them won't make the roster. Some of them will. And it all just comes down to how they play in the preseason, how they're doing in training camp. That's on them. Once the regular season starts and we see who's made the roster and who hasn't, we can gripe and moan or cheer and go yay and all that stuff. But when game day hits for week 1 for the NFL, we're going to find out exactly who made the right decisions and who didn't.
Like, and you can like really dissect it and go, okay, Shamar Stewart gets past offensive tackle on his first day of training camp since joining.
Right.
Okay, who'd he go against? Oh, this guy is a brand new rookie drafted in the 6th round.
Exactly.
Oh, he should be able to get by him.
If you're a first-round draft pick, you better be Shamar. You better be able to do it. I swear to God.
Like, it's that kind of stuff. It's like,
Yeah.
you don't know. I couldn't even tell you the guy he's going up against.
Right.
But you want to tell me that's the best thing you've ever seen? He's going to have the great year because he went up against a guy who's going to be a plumber in a couple months?
Right. Hey, I'll give you one right here. On YouTube for the NFL Throwback, I think it is. You can go watch old Hard Knocks episodes. You want to see one? I think it's episode 2 when the Jets play their first preseason game. Who's catching touchdowns on the Jets in that game? A unknown wide receiver who would become a superstar by the name of Victor Cruz. He was wearing numero trace. And he was catching touchdowns on all of those guys. Now, who's he playing against? Not Darrelle Revis, because he was in a holdout. And not Antonio Cromartie. They're not going to play that dude. But you never know. You never know. Because he ends up being a Super Bowl hero. Right? So it all comes down to training camp, preseason. They're going to do what they need to do. How much do you want to pay attention to it? It's all up to you. But I don't really think you have to invest too much into it. But I get it now, analytics and everything, and NFL's 24/7 and all that stuff, 365. It just really is going to come down to when game day hits, who's out there, who's making the plays. Because Rome Odunze should be making those catches, and so should DJ Moore, and so should Luther Burden. But if all of a sudden this little kid from Oxidane College comes out of nowhere and makes a great touchdown catch for 250 yards in the first game and 3 touchdowns, we're all going to go, well, maybe he's supposed to be the number 1. Unlikely, and there is no such player on the Bears like that, but I'm just saying, you don't know until you get out there against the real competition. Exactly. And I for the vibes. It's such. Listen, you want vibes? I tell people all the time. Go to Bills preseason. It's like the season just started. They're partying like it's regular season. It's a preseason training camp. They're already putting themselves through tables. Buffalo knows how to do it, baby. Crazy. But there you guys go. That's all the stuff we had to talk about. Obviously, let us know, ladies and gentlemen. Comment down below. We want to hear from you guys on all this stuff as well. And that's going to do it for the show. We appreciate you. We love you guys. Thank you all so much for the question. Obviously, give us your thoughts, as always, at xbsportsofficial@gmail.com. If you want to follow me, I'm at xbsports. Oh, my God. Jeez. I almost gave the email away again. We got to get out of here. I'm at The Fluffy Guru on Twitter. I'm also at Boom Crew Captain on Instagram is where you guys can follow us. If you want to catch this show, of course, again, Mondays, they're going to go on the books for a little bit longer. But Fridays, we're going to try and make this as a regular thing as we can around here. That's going to be Fridays every day at 1 o'clock, 1:30 p.m. Central Time right here on the YouTube page, youtube.com/xbombsports and twitch.tv/xbombsports. Follow us on the social media side. That's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and, of course, TikTok as well, at XBomb Sports, where you can see all the content that we're pushing out there anytime with the clips, the tips, and all the kinds of good stuff out there in the tricks. And finally, of course, as we just said, xbsportsofficial@gmail.com for the email too, ladies and gentlemen. And, of course, want to shout him out, even though he's no longer here. No Give Me St. Johnson and our boy Scotty Kiefer here did a great show today talking about Bad Karma Wrestling. That's right, Bad Karma Wrestling on YouTube. Check them out every Friday right here before we go live. They're hitting it 11:30 a.m. Central Time on the BK Dub YouTube page. We're tweeting it out every time from the XBomb Sports Twitter. We're putting it out there on the Facebook page. You guys can find the link there. Go check them out. They did it. Today was a fun show, guys. I highly recommend you go check it out. Great stuff. And, of course, you Blow the Whistle. Check them out, guys. Blow the Whistles go on every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 2 o'clock p.m. Central Time. Obviously, now and again this Friday. Fridays have kind of been a hit and a miss thing right now as of late. But you can find them on the SportsTownChicago.com YouTube page as well. Go check them out. It's our boys Tyler Butterball, Beautiful, David Double D Dykstra, and No Give Me St. Johnson, along with Frankie Marinara Oliveira Oliveri is like I call him, or Frankie Olive Oil Oliveri. That's another nickname I'm giving him as well. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for listening. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you guys on the next show. And as always, much love. Peace out, Boom Crew.